All right, everyone, I think it's time to get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for today's Applying for an EDGE Grant informational webinar. This is the webinar to give you all the information you need to start your application for the 2024 EDGE Grant competition. And before I go further, I will let you know that we will be recording this webinar in just a second. I'll hit start. And it will be placed on our website at de.gov/edge by noon tomorrow. So where is recording? Technology is great. There we go. All right, and now to introduce our director, Regina Mitchell. She will start us off with information about the webinar.
Thanks, Andrea. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. Nice to see such a strong turnout. So we'll be providing information about the EDGE Grant competition and how small business owners can put together a successful application. First, I'd like to start by introducing our presenters. So in addition to myself, we have Andrew, our business finance director, who will be going over more specifics on the financials and the scoring rubrics. And we have Tom from the SBDC. And we also have Ashley from Drone-iversity, who is a recent EDGE winner and will be providing some advice from her perspective. In addition to that, we have our communications director, Andrea Wojcik, who will be the moderator for questions at the end. Oh, sorry, Andrea, I don't think the slides are progressing.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. Let's see. Right. Okay, I'm going to take this. This sometimes happens. I'm going to take it out of slideshow view and put it into regular PowerPoint view.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we encourage all questions that you might have. Please type them into the Q&A box and not the chat box, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. And I think we've already gotten a couple questions about this. We will repeat it several times for anyone who happens to join late, but we are recording this, and the recording and the slides in the presentation will be available at de.gov/edge by noon tomorrow. And then before we dive into the formal presentation, we'd like to find out how you heard about this webinar. So Andrea will be launching a poll that will give you a moment to select your answers, and then she can share the results with us.
All right, so hopefully you can see this, and it says, how did you hear about this webinar? So select the one that represents yours better. Can you see it? There we go. Was it through email, social media, word of mouth, newsletter, other? Go, people are still answering. All right, let's end it with 85%, 86% of the folks answering and sharing the results. Looks like most people heard about it through email and a good 25% through word of mouth and 26% other. Very good. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Great. So a little bit about the division. So we are a service-focused state agency, and we are housed within the Delaware Department of State. We are focused on and committed to helping small businesses to grow and start in Delaware. Our division also includes the Delaware Tourism Office and the Office of Supplier Diversity. And we support small businesses primarily in 3 ways. So 1, navigating government processes and helping you to cut through any red tape you might be experiencing. We connect you with resource organizations. We have over 100 partner organizations in the state. So we help you to connect to the organizations that can help you with whatever issue or whatever need you might have. And then finally, through accessing capital. So whether that's through this program, another one of the programs we offer, or one of the organizations that we work with, we help to make businesses aware of and connected to funding opportunities. We have several members of our team on the webinar today. So team, if you could just give a little wave when I introduce you. So we have Laura Whistler, who is our Deputy Director, Andrew Harton, our Business Finance Director, Anastasia Jackson is our Regional Business Manager for Kent County. Susie Lee is on our communications team. And then Siobhan White is the Director of the Office of Supplier Diversity. Okay. Next slide. So this will be our 9th round of funding since we launched this program back in 2019. And this is a picture of our original winners from that very first round. And then here are pictures of our award ceremonies from our most recent rounds. We're holding an award ceremony for our fall round in a couple of weeks. And including that round, all told, the program has awarded $5.6 million to 90 promising Delaware small businesses in a very wide variety of industries. So something we're really proud of and really happy to see continuing. And then finalists in this round will pitch their grant proposals to our panel of expert judges sometime in the end of April, with winners notified soon after that. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So we have 2 categories in the program. The first category is STEM, which are science, technology, engineering, or math-related businesses. And we tend to get a lot of questions about what's a STEM business and versus an entrepreneur business. So we like to tell people to look at the function of the business. So for instance, if you have a business and you provide like coding education or you're doing coding classes, that is not necessarily what we're looking for STEM. We would be looking at a STEM company as more of like an app development company. And then our entrepreneur category is just anything that is not STEM. And then, so we have 5 awards in each category. STEM companies are eligible for up to $100,000 and entrepreneurs are eligible for up to $50,000. And we stress this every round. This is a very competitive process. Our most recent round, we had over 120 applicants. That's pretty typical for every round that we see. And then we narrow that down to 16 finalists and then just 10 winners. Next slide. So who is eligible? You are eligible if you have been in business for less than 7 years or less. And we go by year, we don't go by month. So, you can, I think it's, somebody on my team can correct me if I'm wrong with this. I believe this round, it's if you were formed in 2017. Does that sound right? Yes, great. So at any point in 2017, you are eligible to apply. Businesses also must have 10 or fewer full-time employees. If you're the only employee, if you're the owner and the sole proprietor, that's fine. And then part-time employees, we have a pretty quick calculation. 2 part-time employees equals 1 full-time employee. And then if your part-time staff is working less than 10 hours a week or less than 4 months out of the year, we don't count them at all. You also must be majority located in Delaware, so 51% of your company, and that means physical and employee. So 51% of your employees need to be here, and if you have multiple locations, 51% of your locations have to be in Delaware as well. We also get questions about remote workers. So that's fine, but for our purposes, like they should be Delaware employees on your payroll. So if they are working from home, that is fine as long as they are officially Delaware employees. Next slide. Oh, sorry. You also have to have net assets less than $500,000, but we do not have any revenue limits. And again, you're eligible to apply if you have not yet started the business, but you should be prepared to have financial statements available because that is a requirement of the application. And then you are not eligible if you have been previously awarded a strategic fund grant, unless that grant was under the DTIP program. So for both of those awards, you probably know if you have received one of those, you have to appear before our board in a public meeting. So, but if you are not sure, you can reach out to us and we will let you know. And also 501c3s are not eligible to apply. Next screen. Next. So format, in terms of formatting, the application must be written in Times New Roman, size 12 and double spaced. And the whole application should be 20 pages or less. As I mentioned before, we usually receive over 100 applications each round, and our staff reads through all of those applications. So we are very strict about our page limit. So, you know, if you have, we tell our staff stop reading after page 20. So if you have important information or your financial statements on page 21, or your business license or something that's a requirement of the application, then you will not make it very far in the scoring rounds because your application will be deemed incomplete. So please be very careful with that. Like if you don't need a table of contents or an index, but if you throw that in there and that bumps you into 21 pages, you need to take something out there. Probably the table of contents at that point. And then new this year, we are requiring applicants to use our template for submissions. So the template for each type of grant will be uploaded to our website when the applications open on February 1st. So please make sure you're using the correct one for the type of grant you are going for. And then finally, all applications must be submitted via PDF electronically to edgegrants@delaware.gov. Next slide. And then we strongly encourage you to connect with one of our regional business managers for your county at the beginning. So they can be a huge asset to you and give feedback to you throughout the process. We will share a contact list for them at the end of this webinar, and that information is also available on our website. Next slide. And then the deadline for applications this round is Friday, March 1st at 4:30 p.m. And again, we're very strict with the deadline submission times as well. Again, we'll repeat this a few other times, but please submit any questions you might have into the Q&A box, not the chat box, and we'll answer those at the end of the presentation. And again, all this information, the video and the slides will be available at de.gov/edge by noon tomorrow. Next slide. Okay, so let's start with the basics of an EDGE application. So all successful EDGE applications will highlight where the business is in terms of its market size, competition, and capacity, and then specifically what the business need is for the EDGE grant. So why does your business need this funding and how will you use it? And being very specific in this section makes for a stronger application. And then finally, how will the funding help your business to succeed into the future? So what's the return on investment? Is there any community impact? What does your business look like after you receive this funding? Next slide. So a few areas to focus on the application. Market sizing. So we do expect EDGE applicants to do a little bit of research for their applications. We want to hear about the size of your targeted market, who your customers are, and then what is the market for your business or the product. And then really define your competition. So think about your customers and what they might purchase instead of your product or your service and where you fall in that market. So we always use this example. It's pretty simple, but I think it's helpful because sometimes you get people who think that they don't have any competition in their service or product is so specialized. But so if you own a flower shop and you're the only flower shop, you know, in a 30-mile radius for some reason, you still have competition. So you would have like grocery stores could sell flowers. You would have chocolate shops, have bakeries, gift shops, anything that somebody might buy in lieu of flowers. So really think through that as you're looking around to see, you know, what your customers might be choosing instead of you. We also launched a tool a couple years ago called Size Up Delaware, and that's specifically aimed at helping small businesses to determine their market size and their competition. So that can help you with all of that information and anything else you might need for your Edge application. So we really encourage you to explore that, delaware.sizeup.com. And we're actually hosting another webinar tomorrow morning to help you walk through how to use that tool specifically. So you can register at this address here or again at de.gov/edge. And then finally, your application should outline challenges that your business faces. We understand that all businesses have challenges. We expect to see that, but we also want to hear about how the grant can help you to address those challenges. And now I'm going to turn it over for a little bit to our business finance director, Andrew, who's going to go over some more details about the financial information.
All right. Hey, everyone. So now we get to talk about everyone's favorite part of their Edge application, which is preparing their financial statements. So there's a couple of requirements in terms of financials for the Edge application. So one of which is that you must include an income statement and a balance sheet. And we'll talk a little bit more about what each of those are. Actually, Andrea, could you pop back just for a second? So you're going to need to know what each of those are, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second here. The best applications incorporate financial data into the proposal. So if you are maybe a new business or an expanding business and you're looking to, let's say, have an equipment upgrade that allows you to sell more product, you should be able to talk from a financial point of view, you know, what this Edge grant would do for you and your business. So is it going to lowest your cost of goods? Is it going to give you a better margin? And you should know your product price as well. Make sure you know what you're selling your product for and what it costs you to make it so that you can calculate your break-even point. In terms of the financials that you're providing for your existing business, your income statement, and your balance sheet, we don't evaluate your financials as part of the scoring process. So for example, a business that is not profitable, right, is not necessarily going to get a lower score on their Edge application. So don't worry too much about that. And now we can go to the next one. Next slide there, Andrea. All right, so the balance sheet and the income statement. So the balance sheet is a snapshot of what your business owns and how those things were funded or acquired. So either through a liability, it's some sort of debt, or through equity. Perhaps you put your own cash into the business. And remember that your balance sheet shows items at the price they were purchased or the cost incurred to make them. So if you can't price something, if you're not sure what it's worth, it doesn't belong on your balance sheet. The income statement shows the flow of revenues versus expenses over a given period of time. So typically this would be a quarter or a year. So for most, I would say probably all of the people watching this webinar right now, you're probably going to want to include your most recent balance sheet, which would be December 31st, 2023, if your fiscal year is the same as the calendar year, which I'm assuming for a lot of you it probably is. And your income statement will likely be for the year. So from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, in terms of your revenues and your expenses during that time period. And I'd like to point out that we have resources to help you, you know, with some of this documentation. So Tom is here from the SBDC. They do a fantastic job of helping Edge applicants prepare some of their financials. You can also visit Score Delaware. That's another option for seeking help preparing some of the financials that you're going to need. All right, go to the next one. All right, so the Edge grant is a 3-to-1 match. So and that's important to stress. So if your entire project is a $100,000 project, you're still going to need to have skin in the game, right? So a 3-to-1 match. So if you're seeking a $100,000 grant, your match right, is 1/3 of that. So $33,000, $333 minimum, right? So your total project cost would be, $133,333. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for $50,000, you need to come up with the other side of that match, which is going to be that just over $16,000 there. So think about what you're willing to put into your project. If you are a new business and let's say you've got $10,000 that you're willing to invest in your business and you're not looking to seek a loan or something like that, then you would ask for $30,000, right? Because you can make that match. You can make a $30,000 match. So that's something to think about. Also, your match should be project specific, just like your budget. So, when we look at the EDGE grants, and the finance team here is the team that will review the first 3 rounds of scoring. We want to make sure that your project is focused, and then you have a specific objective that you're looking to obtain. So, if you're an existing business, this needs to be, again, a project that provides an edge. So something that's going to take your business to the next level, and your grant should focus specifically on that project, not necessarily just general operating expenses. Okay. Next up, please. All right, so this is on your application. This is the EDGE checklist. And I can't stress this enough. Make sure that you have every single item on this checklist, and triple check this, because it is a shame every round we get proposals that took a lot of work. They're 20 pages long, and then they're missing something. They're either not signed and notarized, or there's no business license is a common one. And those applications don't go through that first round. That's the first round, is making sure that you qualify in terms of filling out this checklist. So please make sure you do that. And also, it's important to mention, in terms of the financials that are going to be included on this, that you do have to have financial projections for the next 5 years, and you should have an analysis. You have to have an analysis of the product cost and pricing. So, again, that's something that if you're not familiar with creating projections, again, talk to the SBDC, talk to SCORE Delaware. You're going to need to use Excel, so get familiar with Excel if you aren't already, or find a friend who's really good with Excel, and that'll kind of help you get that to the finish line. All right. So here we have our just a snapshot of what our scoring rubric looks like. So I'll tell you right now that everybody who makes it past round 3 or towards one of the final rounds, they're all living on the right side of this scorecard. So if you find yourself kind of somewhere in the middle as you're evaluating your own EDGE application, you've got to find a way to get it into the high score all the way to the right, because the truth is that if we receive 100 or 150 applications, at least 20 of them, let's say for entrepreneur, at least 20 of them are going to be very high scoring applications, right? And so you need to make sure that you're following this rubric to the T, and make sure you're addressing every item on this rubric. And there are different rubrics for STEM and for entrepreneur. So make sure whatever program you're applying to, you're constantly going back and reviewing the appropriate rubric for your application. All right. Yep. This is our entrepreneur rubric. So again, if you don't address everything on this 26 to 30 point, the right side of the entrepreneur rubric, then go back and make sure that you're addressing every single point on this rubric. We can skip along here, Andrea. Yep. So community impact. And then there's other bonuses. If you're a woman-owned business or minority-owned business or veteran-owned business, make sure you verify that on your application. And then you can get a geographical bonus as well if your business is located in an opportunity zone or a downtown development district. So there's links there to make sure that your business is in one of those districts. And at this time, I'll hand it back to Regina if you wanted to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So yeah, like Andrew said, there's links. So especially we have a section of our website dedicated to opportunity zones. An opportunity zone that's a federal program that's designed to spur economic investment in economically distressed areas. So you can see on the screen here are designated opportunity zones throughout the state, but they are like very specific areas of those. So it's not like all of Seaford, it's a specific area of Seaford. So if you go to our website in the Opportunity Zone section, there's an interactive map there, and you can type in the address for your business, and it will specifically show you whether or not you fall within the boundary of the Opportunity Zone, and it should show you the downtown development districts as well. Next slide. Again, just a reminder, the deadline for applications for this round is Friday, March 1st at 4:30 p.m. Next slide. So to give you a little idea of what happens after you submit your applications, so as you heard a few times in this presentation, there are 4 rounds of internal review and scoring. And then we bring our finalists to be judged by an outside panel of expert judges. We hold 1 day specific for our STEM applicants, and then 1 day for entrepreneur. And then our estimated timeframe for that to happen is the last week in April for this round. So if you are a finalist and you're presenting to the judges, we give you 15 minutes to present, and then there's a 15-minute Q&A period with the judges. And then typically we notify the winners within a week after that happens, but that information is always embargoed until we can hold our official award ceremony with the governor. And then ultimately, if you're not selected as a finalist or as a winner, again, encourage you to reach out to your regional business manager. They can provide you with specific feedback from the scoring process or the judging process. So please don't take not being selected as a no. We encourage everybody to continue to apply, to adjust your application based on the feedback that you've received. We have so many of our finalists and our winners who did not make it through on their first or second attempt or even third attempt sometimes, but kept tweaking, kept taking the feedback that they were receiving, and then were ultimately successful. Next slide. Thank you. So if you are selected as a winner, we have a grant agreement that we will draft up that you will need to sign. We confirm compliance with our other state agencies before we disperse any of the funds. So we check with the Department of Labor and the Division of Revenue and DNREC to make sure that the business is compliant with all of the necessary things that they do. And then you'll be required to report to us for 5 years after you receive your award. And then with that, you also have to commit to remaining in the state of Delaware for 5 years. So if at any point you move operations out of state, you'll be required to pay the grant back. Next slide. Again, I think people have been actively using this, but if you continue to please post any questions you might have in the Q&A box. And again, all of this information and the recording and the slides will be available at de.gov/edge. And then now I think I'm going to turn it over to Tom. Yep, Tom from FBDC to share some information about what they do.
Thank you, Regina. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom Thornstrom. I'm the Center Director for the Small Business Development Center. I service the southern 2 counties in the state, Kent and Sussex. I have also worked with clients in Newcastle over the years, and I've worked with several EDGE grant winners, among many of our colleagues at the SBDC who have done the same. I'm happy to be here for a few moments to talk about what we can do in our process and our role in helping you as an EDGE grant applicant apply for the EDGE grant. Next slide, please. Real quick, I'm going to go through just a little bit of a dog and pony talk about the SBDC. We service all 3 counties. We are one of the state's business partners. We are funded by the state of Delaware, also funded by the Small Business Administration, and we're hosted out at the University of Delaware. Our services are of no cost. You've already paid for those with your tax dollars. So thank you for your contribution. You allow us to do the work that we can do. We've been in Delaware now for over 40 years. Next slide. And over those 40 years, we've worked with 20,000 different clients. You may know a number of them in the state. Some of them have gone on to bigger and much better things, and some of them have become publicly traded. We've helped over 1,300 businesses start up and have helped create over 4,000 jobs, and have helped generate over $260 million in capital and nearly $1 billion in government contracts. So we do a lot of different things. Not just helping businesses start, but we also help them grow. Next slide, please. And we work with you from start to the point when you decide to sell your business, or the point when you decide to decide to close up shop or retire or whatever you may do, we help you every step of the way. It can be through business plans, financial plans, help you on government contracts. We also partner with the University of Delaware students to help businesses with marketing and or data research based on your needs. So all of those are resources that we can provide to you. Next slide. So what I'm here to really talk about from an Edge Grant standpoint is some basic best practices for you. This is about 6 weeks, 5 weeks out to the deadline, and you want to start working on this today. Don't start working on your Edge Grant on February 25th. As somebody who has written grants before, and as somebody who has reviewed grants before, these things take time. They do take a number of different revisions. And as Andrew pointed out, if you're looking at the grant and it's, you don't think that your information's on the right side of that score sheet, you're not going to have the time to come back and revisit this. So you really want to start working on this now. If you don't like football, this Sunday is a great day to do that because you can work on it while the football games are going on. You can sit there and spend all weekend working on your grant application and begin the process to work on it. Showing your project budget what is planned to be funded from Edge, what you plan to pay for or secure financing for to help support it. So what your contribution is, what are you using towards that? If you're going to spend $60,000 to purchase a truck, for instance, how much of that's going to be Edge funding? How much of that's going to be out of pocket or loan, and source it? Because those are important things to show. That project budget's really important as part of this process, as Andrew had pointed out. Next slide. You want to show in the Edge Grant why the money being given to you will result in additional sales, lower debt costs, and an increased bottom line. I'm also going to include in here something I didn't put down is how many people you're going to hire. What's the return on the impact that the state's going to give you? What's the return on that investment? How many jobs are you going to create? How much more money are you going to generate in sales? How much debt are you going to be able to reduce? Those things are really important, and you should be able to show scenarios for both an Edge Grant award and also the bootstrap option, and show the difference between the two, because that's really important. An Edge Grant is going to make a big difference for your business. You need to be able to quantify and explain how those dollars are going to help your business. And last and most importantly, when you win, you want to show your expenses and be able to track and account for those properly. So if you don't have QuickBooks, if you don't have a bookkeeper, we'll be able to connect you with resources to help you figure out how to balance and be able to account for those dollars, because the state's going to want reporting on those things. Next slide, please. So as part of the Edge Grant role, we ask that you reach out to the Division of Small Business and to their regional business managers, and there are 4 of them throughout the state, and they will refer you directly to us for advising. And we will meet with you. Typically, we meet via Zoom. We would advise that if you're interested in pursuing the Edge Grant, you want to reach out relatively quickly, because those, advising sessions will fill up pretty quickly throughout the month of February. What we'll do is we will work with you to review and improve your grant proposal and your financial projections. We won't write your grant, nor are we going to predict your sales or your bottom line. But what we'll do is we'll help strengthen your application. We'll be able to go through and look for key things that you may need to include. Did you forget to include market research? Did you forget to include a specific item line in your budget or in your financial projections? Those are things that we will look for and help strengthen as part of the application process. Next slide. And if you have questions, you are welcome to reach out to me directly. My email address is there. And for more information on us, there's our website. Thanks, Regina.
Thank you, Tom. And yeah, SBDC is great at what they do. We encourage everybody to reach out to them. They're so helpful to our Edge applicants and all the small businesses in the state. So now we're going to move to Ashley Cooper with Drew University. Ashley was one of our Edge winners in round 7, which was last spring. And she's going to share with you some of her tips. Ashley, I think you're on mute. Oh, good.
Yeah, I was. Thank you so much for the opportunity back in spring to even be able to apply, and our success as a winner, and also this opportunity to be able to share. If you can go to the next slide, I'll just get right into it. So my name is Ashley Cooper. I'm the founder and president of Droneversity. We are an ed tech robotics company, In short, we use drones for workforce development and educational entertainment. And we were a winner back in spring 2023. And our specific ask was for a permanent indoor facility to be able to scale our business because we had a lot of challenges being a company where we're outside a lot, as well as to be able to purchase some equipment to be able to expand at our highest revenue generating service. If you could go on. All right, so my personal tips, and I even talked to our team because we were reflecting back on this eventful but stressful time. I agree with what everyone has said so far, especially everyone who has mentioned to get started now and not delay. Definitely use the templates, the checklist. We actually spent almost, I'd say about 2 days just reviewing what was going to be expected before we even decided if this was the opportunity that was best for us to pursue. So once we were able to determine that even the things we didn't have, we will be able to get, we use that to start drafting those 20 pages. When it came to the advice, I have a lot of gratitude for the Delaware Division of Small Business Manager Anastasia and my SBDC advisor, Miss Audrey Scott, who I quickly got on their calendar when I decided that I was going to apply for this EDGE grant, and even kind of scheduling how I was planning on catching up with them maybe once a week or every other week, or when they could expect to hear from me. And they really helped in keeping me accountable to make sure that I was on track. I already mentioned our request, but that kind of leads into the numbers, which is the financial part. We did work with an accountant. We have QuickBooks. So that person was able to kind of give us the basis, and we had something to work from. But when it came to the financials, and really, I'll say this, I was grateful for the opportunity. I even said to myself at one point in time, if we don't win, we are better off, because I had an understanding of my business, the potential of my business, the feasibility, and what we were going to be able to do without the EDGE grant, and then what we were going to be able to do with that money. So I was going to pursue that money anyway, anyhow, because of what the return on investment was going to be for the business, as well as the impact we were going to be able to make. There was a lot of editing in the Excel sheet as well. It was a lot of numbers, but we also used templates as well because we wanted it to be really, really clear. So I say editors, going to my next tip, editors, but those individuals can also be counted as reviewers. When looking back, we probably had over 12 people to review our application. And that may seem like a lot, but every reviewer or the person editing offers something different. Some people were simply just reading, like if they had never heard of our business or what we were trying to do, how clear was our proposal. Some people were reading to make sure that we were in the far right side of those templates to make sure that we were going to be scoring high. Some individuals were reading to make sure that we explain our financial reports pretty much from the beginning all the way to the end, and we didn't lose track of our mission or what we were requesting in the very beginning. And here is for just the last bit of tips I have on this second page. If you could move forward, please. So I guess I decided to call this more like just a needs to know. Definitely take advantage of the resources that you've already heard of. There's a lot of resources when it comes to databases, different organizations, entities that were very helpful. We did use Size Up. We did use, we were looking for a place in the Delaware Opportunity Zone. I'll say I'm a lot more familiar with the state that I've lived in for so long after this process as well. When it comes to the time, again, finish ahead of the deadline. You know, there are things, I'm going to kind of skip to just some other needs really quick. You have to get your application signed and notarized. That's not something you want to leave for the last minute. Things can come on up. We are entrepreneurs. So our schedule is already full. We're already doing a lot of things, but I found creating a schedule, and even for the team that I had to help me in drafting this up, just delegating things. So we were constantly regrouping pretty much every other day. And then when it was a week before our submission, pretty much every day. And I will encourage, I'll share this as well, even though I did have individuals who were reviewing, editing, and helping along the way, it was really important for me to make sure that not one word in that proposal was listed that didn't go along with our business and what we were trying to accomplish, because I knew the next stage of this was that I was going to have to present. And I wanted to be prepared to answer pretty much every question. And I knew that a lot of the questions were probably going to be centered around kind of finances and where, you know, how confident was I or familiar with what was in that proposal. When it comes to, so moving on to layout, you heard it. There's over 100 people who applied for this. So we definitely added charts and images that supported clarity. Nothing in there was from fluff. We kept the table of contents probably up until the second to final draft. Because we did want to make sure we had everything in there, and it was just easy trying to navigate 20 pages of information, having that index or that table of contents to kind of like surf through the document and do edits. But definitely consider being the judge on the other end. It was no question when it came to that rubric that we were aiming for 40. That was our goal from the very beginning. So definitely eliminate things that you don't need. And also, while you are creating this proposal, I would definitely recommend that you get started on compiling everything else in that list. So you have the proposal itself, but then you have the business verification material that you're going to need. They mentioned the business license. If you are a minority-owned business and you don't already have that certification, definitely get on that early, because those aren't things that you can get within short of a 24-hour span. And if you can move to the next page. So hopefully I didn't scare you all with those tips and all that it entailed, but I would say that the work was well worth it. We submitted our application, I think it was March 31st. My birthday was March 20th. I skipped my birthday. I will say that I'm glad it was worth it. That was like part of my additional sacrifice. But the success of the EDGE grant, right now we're under a land contract and in agreement, thanks to being able to have the down payment from the EDGE grant. We've purchased some of that equipment. We have temporary office space. And this, I can't tell you the number of people who actually came to us as a result of being a winner of the EDGE grant because they were rest assured or confident that we had our stuff together because we were an Edge Grant winner and they knew just how competitive the process was. So we were able to attract funding, and because we had our paperwork together and knew we had our numbers together and our finances, we were able to procure additional non-diluted funds as well, and to be able to cover our match. So even if you're concerned about how, now it does need to be in your plan how you are going to cover your match. But this was something that we were also thinking about. How can we take what we have built up now, this portfolio, to be able to kind of fund for the match and to be able to do some additional things. And I don't have the exact number, but we've gone on to win probably 6 more additional competitions, some that were in the state of Delaware and abroad. And I will say that the foundation of our proposals and that paperwork still is exactly, or if not very similar to the paperwork that we generated to be able to apply for the Edge Grant. So I see it as a win where we just keep on winning. And my number 4 is just the opportunity to be able to expand our network. We became known in areas that we weren't even planning on marketing to. We've been able to grow our customer reach, being able to network at a local, county, and state. I felt like it kind of opened up the catalog of individuals that I was trying to connect with prior to. And definitely just the attractive business portfolio that I've already talked about that it allowed us to obtain. So I will miss my birthday again. I did celebrate afterwards. But the work was well worth it. And we took advantage of every resource. I met with my SBDC advisor in the library twice, meetings on Zoom. I met with Anastasia. I drove to Dover a couple times, and definitely really helpful. No one wrote the grant for us, but they made it so appealing for us to be able to win. And yeah, I hope that I was able to share something that someone can use during their process. And last but certainly not least, this is, of course, a few pictures from that great day. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me at ashley@droneversity.org or even info@droneversity.org. And to learn more about us, definitely follow us on any social media at Droneversity. And hopefully there's an opportunity for me to work with many of the other Delaware entrepreneurs, because I'll find a way for us to collaborate.
Thank you, Ashley, so much. That was so helpful. I also want to apologize. I realize I've mispronounced your company name, I think, twice in this presentation. So Droneversity, very happy to have you here to share that information. Okay, a few more housekeeping things before we get to the question and answer section. So first, we want to find out how useful this information has been. So you should see a poll pop up soon with the first question being, now that you've heard all of this information, you still plan to apply for the competition. So we'll give you a moment to do that. And if you answer no, could you please provide us with a couple of words about why not? Like you realize you don't qualify or you're not ready, something like that.
give you a little more time. There's about 72% of the people who responded. It's 78%. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and end the poll with 82% of participants responding. Then we have 66% who said yes, they still intend to apply. 25% are unsure, and 9% say no. And we will be interested to see those responses. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next slide. Okay, and then here's the information for our division's social media. We encourage you to follow us there for important updates on EDGE and other resources that we can provide for your small business. Next slide. And then additionally, also encourage you to sign up for our e-newsletter through our website. Our newsletter is distributed every Wednesday morning. That includes EDGE updates and much more things that the division is doing, as well as many of our community partners. Again, encourage any small businesses who are looking to apply to EDGE to contact our office for assistance, either through one of the above mentioned ways, online. Our email is business@delaware.gov. There's our main phone number. Or again, I know you've heard about them a lot in this webinar, but I really encourage you to reach out to our regional business managers. Here is their information based on what area they cover. And then also here's the contact information for Siobhan White, who again is our director of the Office of Supplier Diversity. And we've also put the web address where you can learn more about what it means to become a certified diverse supplier with the state. Final reminder, the deadline for applications for this round is Friday, March 1st at 4:30 p.m. Again, this recording, the slides, the information will be available at de.gov/edge by noon tomorrow. And now we will move on to the question and answer portion.
All righty. A lot of the questions were already answered. So if there is something that somebody saw that was a question that has been answered and you didn't catch the answer, please feel free at this time to drop those questions in the box. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to back the slide up to the list of regional business managers, because a lot of people always ask us to go back to that slide. The other thing that I will tell everyone is that the applications for the February round will be loaded on February 1st. So the new round application is not online yet. You can see the fall application on there, but you shouldn't use the fall 2023 application to complete your 2024 EDGE grant application. We previously had the rubrics up there. Today, staff asked that we take those down so that nobody would get confused and think that those were the 2024 rubrics. So we removed those as well. Those will also be loaded on February 1st, the same day as the applications. Somebody did ask about the registration link again for the Size Up webinar. That is tomorrow at 10 a.m. And again, you can go to de.gov/edge, and the link to register for that webinar is up there. Okay, what do we have left? Let's see. 10% is needed to receive the grant. It will state that 10% can come from another grant as a source. When do you need to provide evidence that you have the 10% secured?
It's should not be, it's
33.3% is needed to, yeah.
it's
So
a third,
33.3.
1/3 it's a 3-to-1 match. So I don't like, we don't require you to submit, that you're, if you're doing financing, you don't need to submit the like financing letter from the bank, but we want to see what your plan is for that other like non-state matching portion. And that it is reasonable and feasible.
Great. I'm starting a new business. Will I be eligible for the grant?
Yes, businesses that are not, started at time of application are eligible to apply.
Can you say more about STEM versus entrepreneur?
Yes, I actually think as I was going through her, Ashley was going through her presentation, I thought that she is a very good example of STEM versus entrepreneur because, Droneversity is, it's STEM related. She does some of the classes I think that you do are STEM focused. But it is what we would consider an entrepreneur business because it is not, she's not creating an app. She's not, doing some sort of like research and development product. So I think that is a helpful example that like just at first glance, that's actually not what we would think of when we look to like STEM companies, even though she is STEM adjacent or, within related fields. Anybody else want to add to that? No.
Okay. If you have already invested 10,000 in your own business and now you're seeking 30,000, for example, does this satisfy the 33% requirement?
The match should be project specific and not business specific. So when you're applying, you are applying for a specific project that you want funded. So the EDGE funding should be a portion of that, and then your matching portion should be the other part. So it's not that, you already put that money into your business. It's specifically for this project that you want to carry out with this funding.
Is the grant considered taxable income?
Yes, we receive this question, I think, every round. We do not give out financial advice. We encourage you to consult with your financial advisor, but I do believe that for the most part, they are taxable income.
Will a link to this recording be made available? Yes, de.gov/edge. I also saw that someone was asking about the Size Up webinar tomorrow. The Size Up webinar will also be recorded and posted to de.gov/edge. Okay, we are healthcare providers. I'm assuming this would be STEM, but could you comment on this?
So if you have like very specific questions about your company, I encourage you to reach out to a regional business manager to talk that through in more detail. Generally speaking, I would say if you are a healthcare related business, you are probably not STEM. We've had a number of healthcare related businesses as finalists or winners in the past, and they were all in the entrepreneur category. But again, if you have a very specific question about your business, reach out to a regional business manager.
So a project with my business, not my entire business. So for instance, acquiring a building and supplies as one project for my new business. That would be eligible.
Yes, we would yes, that's what, right, Ashley, that's what you used your EDGE grant for, was to acquire a physical space.
Yeah.
That is separate. She was
Perfect.
already operating her business under kind of a different model. And that was what the EDGE project was, to acquire physical space that she could do the classes indoors instead of being, contingent on the weather and available space. Or I think, if the president's plane is coming in.
Yeah.
Also, remember, this is a competition. So you want it to be exciting, so if, buying a building, you got to make it show how it's going to make you a better business.
Yes, good point, Joe.
How many times can you apply and win a grant?
If you are a winner, you can apply one time for that business. So if, you know, you have multiple businesses, you can apply for your other businesses. But once you win an EDGE grant, for that business, you're done. But you can apply if you have not won, you can continue to apply as long as you are eligible under the terms of the application.
Is there a list somewhere that gives examples of what the EDGE grants in the past have been used for?
Is that on our website, Andrea?
If they go to the newsroom, our past press releases of EDGE grant winners have that. I'm not sure if there's a list on our de.gov/edge or not.
Okay. Yes, all the press releases have, you know, every company for each round, and then, you know, a short blurb about what the company does and how they're planning to use the EDGE funding.
This person is reviving a couple of questions that they would like to know the answer to. When you add a copy of your business license, do you need to use the entire page, or can you shrink the image?
You can, Andrew, you can shrink the image as long as it is fully legible.
Correct.
Anything else? Okay.
Second question, what happens if in the 5 years after receiving the grant, the business goes under?
You are not penalized for failing. So, you know, we understand these are our early stage companies. We hate to see it, but we understand that, you know, that's not guaranteed. You are not penalized. You do not need to pay the grant back if your business closes, but if your business is still operating and leaves the state, you need to pay the grant back.
Can you share the resource place to become certified as a minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned business enterprise? And I will flip to Siobhan's slide.
Yes, also we have a dedicated page on our website for the Office of Supplier Diversity, and I believe the applications and the information is available there.
Yeah, it is right there. We heard there were 100+ applicants for the EDGE grant. What was the breakdown between STEM and entrepreneur?
I think pretty regularly the bulk of our applications are in the entrepreneur category. Ballpark, I would say usually we get close to 100 in entrepreneur and somewhere between like 30 and 50 in STEM.
Thank you. For a building, could I use the mortgage as the rest of my capital?
Yes. So anything that is not EDGE money would be the match.
Will there be any future opportunities for companies older than 7 years?
I don't believe so. We've actually, it used to be 5 years, and we've extended it to 7. But it is focused on kind of the early stage startup companies. So I don't imagine it being expanded any further.
Can the grant be used in multiple phases of a phased app build project?
I'm not sure if I'm assuming this means, can you apply for multiple phases? And that answer would be no.
Right. I took the question a different way. Is that it's part of an overall project. So remember, this is a competition. And if that's what you meant, that it's part of an overall project that's just going to get you from A to B and B will get you to C. If you can explain that well, then yes, just remember it's a competition. So you want to show how that's going to get you to the next stage in your business.
Are there other grants we should look at besides this one?
This is kind of our grant program for like early stage companies. We have some other programs that are available that you can reach out to our office about. And again, probably other grant opportunities at some of our resource partners, and information about that would be shared in our newsletters.
And additionally, if you ask our business managers, they are also often aware of other grant opportunities from maybe other federal agencies, like Regina said, resource partners, or even national nonprofits. Is the EDGE understanding of a long wait time for using the funds? For example, lengthy permitting from DENREC and then a public hearing.
So you have a year to spend the funding, if your grant agreement is signed. So that should take into effect, but again, you know, that's the parameters of the program. So if you could tailor your project, taking all of that into consideration.
Regina, may I add something really quick?
Sure.
I just want to make sure it's not missed, and I think Tom might have focused on this, and Joe keeps making sure everyone knows, like, hey, this is a competition. You want to make sure that your return of on investment is not just kind of like personal to your business. You want to be able to make sure that there is a broader impact, whether the opportunity that we'll now have to hire people, which we already started hiring people, something like that. And kind of like the list goes on where even where it will be appealing, I will say from a lot of the winners that I have remained in contact with, who I know won before me, what they brought to the state made the state more attractive.
Yes, very good point. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, we want to know how, even though we're not asking for the money back, we want to know how we're going to get the money back indirectly, be it through income tax, you know, gross receipt tax. Just, you know, we want to know that the state's going to indirectly get its money back somehow.
All right, there's a chance the permitting process could take more than a year. Public hearings, special zoning could take more than a year. If things are moving along, would there be any exceptions? We cannot control how quickly the state of Delaware decides to process our special use zoning request and permit.
So by reaching out to your regional business manager, one of us can help you with the regulatory issues that you may be facing. Whether you're applying for the EDGE grant or outside of the EDGE grant, please make sure you reach out to one of us and we'll be able to assist you in navigating through that process.
I would like to add that this program is not this isn't the only round, right? There will be future rounds, and maybe it's not time to apply yet. If you don't have a plan for how you're going to spend that EDGE funding within 1 year, or you're worried that you may be delayed or you aren't at that stage yet, then this might not be the round for you to apply.
And to piggyback off of what Andrew said, our next round is expected to launch in August of this year. All right, I am putting out last call for questions now. Going in 3. Oh. Got it, looks, all right, thank you. If that is it, then I will turn it back to Regina for final comments.
Great. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope this was helpful and provided information that you can use as you move forward with your applications. Thank you so much to Tom and Ashley for joining us and sharing all that information. Encourage everybody to visit our website and please reach out to your regional business manager or the SBDC if you have any questions or need advice on your application. That's it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you.